everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Imagine 2021 Day Session with our very own alumna, Paloma Sarkar. This will be one of the many day sessions offered to students this week during the Imagine 2021 program sponsored by the President's Office, Career Services, and the Oswego Alumni Association. My name is Carisha Lewis, and I am a class of 2018 graduate from Oswego and currently the Assistant Director of Student Alumni Engagement here at SUNY Oswego. The sessions held today is one of the many day sessions held during this week of the Imagine 2021 program, which is a 5-week program focused on giving students in the class of 2020 the chance to explore career paths, find job or internship opportunities, network with alumni, and more. Check out the website for more details. The link is in the chat. And if you complete 3 items on the weekly checklist, you'll be eligible for the drawing at the end of the week. The direct link to the checklist is also in the chat. And now I'm excited to tell you about today's speaker, Paloma Sarkar. Paloma Sarkar is the first Vice President of Enterprise Risk Management and Strategic Planning at Pathfinder Bank. Originally from Kolkata, India, she graduated with a bachelor's degree in computer engineering in 2007 and worked for an IT company named Tech Mahindra for 3 years, developing codes and reports for various modules of enterprise resource management. She came to the United States in 2010 and graduated with an MBA from SUNY Oswego in 2011. Paloma started as an intern at Pathfinder Bank and then grew in the company, having worked in loan operation and loan underwriting. Most recently, she is a board member of the Safe Haven Museum in Fort Ontario in Oswego. And with that, please join me in welcoming Paloma Sarkar. Thank you.
Thank you, Carissa. Hi, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. It's pretty snowy out there, so I'm sure this is the best way that we can do this. So like Carissa said that, I came from India, Kolkata, India in 2010. Actually, I graduated with computer engineering in 2007, and I worked in an IT company for 3 years. And I was just, developing codes and writing codes. And I was so bored writing all those codes. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. And that's when, while I was developing codes, I was working in the finance module, and that's when I realized I need more experience and more knowledge in finance. So that's when I decided, to get my MBA and then I applied. Coming from India, you have to go through certain processes and stuff. So I applied to various schools, and I ended up in SUNY Oswego in 2010. And I came in January of 2010. So when I left India, it was about 70, 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And when I came here in 2010 in January, it was about, that day was, I think, -2 or something like that. And I told myself, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? So, but, it's been a great experience for me. I just enjoyed it a lot. I did my MBA from there. While I was doing my MBA from SUNY Oswego, one of the professors who was taking a class luckily happened to be the president of Pathfinder Bank. And I asked him, if, do you have any internship available at Pathfinder Bank? And he offered me the internship. I started as an intern at Pathfinder Bank in 2011. And I started in loan operations. I worked in loan operations for a couple of years. Then I moved from loan operations to credit analysis. Worked there for a couple of years, and then I was managing the credit admin for a few years. And now I moved into the risk department. So right now I'm doing like more of enterprise risk management, basically looking at all the risk associated with a bank. Before I was just focused on credit risk. Now I'm looking more at a global picture of the bank. But and also, like, as all banks and all companies have their strategic plans and initiatives to make them more profitable. So there are three initiatives that we currently have, and I'm also like managing and making sure that those three initiatives are being done in the right timely manner and the right way. So yeah, that has, in a nutshell, that has pretty much been like the journey, of coming from India to SUNY Oswego. But I always say to myself, I was very lucky that like Tom Schneider happened to be the professor while I was taking the class, and I always tell myself that was a great experience for me, learning the real life, banking and finances with him, and then, moving into banking. But yeah, like, as you'll see through my career, like, I honestly, I first did 4 years of computer engineering. I didn't know, like, at that time, that I was going to go in banking. I did that. I didn't. At the end of after I joined Tech Mahindra, when I was doing codes, at the end of 3 years, I was like, I can't do this. So just as an example, like, you may not be able to decide right now that this is what you want to be, but that's okay. That's completely fine. And those experiences, also, like, you might do something and that's not what you end up doing later on in life, but that's okay. That part, what you did, is an experience for you that will help you to move in the next phase that you want to do. But it's hard initially to figure out what you want to do. But it's okay to try out different things. It's fine. So that has been, I have had some great experiences. Working in loan operations helped me understand, like, basically the computer system that the bank uses, like the core system that the bank uses. So that helped me understand that, and with my knowledge in IT, it helped me really understand that system very well. And then working with a credit analysis, understanding, like, the businesses, helping businesses, that was a great experience. And then now moving into risk and looking at the bigger picture, and connecting, like, the different risks of the bank, and how, sometimes when people talk about risk management, people can say it's very, like, sometimes people can get oh, it's risk, they're trying to stop something, but it's not that. It's more like how you can manage it and, at the same time, make the bank more profitable. So yeah, like, and I have been more on the analytical side, looking a lot at the numbers and everything. I have my friend and coworker, Allison. She has been in banking for many, many years. She has a lot of experience in banking. So, I thought it would be a very good experience for you all to also hear from her. Although she didn't graduate from SUNY Oswego, she'll tell you about her experiences. But yeah, like, I will come back again and share with you a couple other things and questions that you have. But it's I can explain you and share with you on the analytical sides, how things happen. But I thought it would be nice for you all to also get an understanding on the sales side of it, how Allison, manages the different small businesses, and especially, as you know, in today's COVID times, like, a lot of small businesses have been affected. So how, bank plays such a big role in the community, to to help those small businesses in various ways. So I'll let Allison talk a little bit, and then we can come back, and then whatever questions you all have, we want this to be a little bit more interactive so that it helps you. So Allison, if you want to share a little bit of your experiences.
Yeah, thank you, Paloma. Good evening, everyone. My name is Allison. I'm Paloma's co-worker. I've known her for a couple years now, and we work together a little bit on the credit side when she was managing the credit analyst. And I started banking actually when I went to college. I was doing more. I wanted to be a doctor, so I majored in biology. I didn't know anything about banking. I didn't think banking was anything for me, so I majored in biology. Within 2 years, I decided I didn't like to go to labs, and I changed my major to economics. And since then, after I finished, then I started applying for internship when I was even in college. So a couple years, and I was interning with this program called Inroads, helping minority students to be able to get internship and work in the corporate environment. So I applied. I got an advisor. They sent me to different companies. So in the summer and then during the winter break, I was able to work for different companies. So I worked for 2 insurance companies before I even graduated from college. So because of that experience, was when I was finished with school, the bank wanted to hire me because they saw that I had an underwriting background when I was still in college. So I was hired by Fleet Bank for when I first started out banking. So they sent me to go get a credit training. So I was doing 2 years credit training with them. So that's when my career started in banking. But before that, I was not in banking at all. I was like, I want to be a doctor. I didn't know what to speak. I don't know what to say in front of people. So banking wouldn't be something I wanted to do. Then I started banking. I was a credit analyst I worked for many banks since I think I started my career in 2000. Since then, I've been at probably about 4 different banks, and each of the banks I work with, I learn different things. So Bank of America was very big. It's allowed Fleet Bank was a big bank. Now it becomes Bank of America. So it's allowed me to get the credit training, the background for underwriting, and it's allowed me to know more about how to work with different size of customer, because so big you can work with all kind of customers, running from like a small $500,000 in revenues to up about, I would say I have worked on $200 million customers as well. So starting out with a big bank really helped. And then I went to a smaller bank. So each different bank you work at is give you a different kind of experience. The big bank, you work with bigger customers, more complex work. And a smaller bank, because they don't have a lot of people, you kind of work on every little thing. Like you have your hands on all kind of work. So after many years of being a credit analyst, that's just more like a career path. You can choose to be going to the credit side to be a credit approver, or going to the sales side. Somehow I ended up being on the sales side. I'm a commercial lender right now, so I work with customer. I go out and try to work with them like a CFO or CEO of the company, and I'm helping them out on their financing needs. So if they said, okay, I have to borrow $1 million to buy a property for my company, so they'll come over and we'll talk to them and help them structure the loan and get approval. So I'll work with internal at the bank to get approval on it, and then after that, we just help customer with whatever they need for their business. That's on the sales side. Because I was working at different banks and on the credit side as well, I'm able to underwrite the loans. When I was working with HSBC for about 10 years, I underwrote loans that go from $2 million up to about $50 million. The one biggest company I worked on was $75 million in total exposure. So those are on the sales side. It's a little different. On the sales side, you get to meet so many customers. Like during the time when COVID hit right now, so many customers are just not able to pay the employee, and they need the assistance from the government. So we're here to help them out. Pathfinder Bank has been like the essential help to assist the customer during this time. So we're proud to be able to help the customer and assist them while they're in need. I don't know if you want me to say anything else besides that, but if you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, like, Alice, like for both of us, like it's interesting that we both had different backgrounds initially. Like when we, started, we both didn't know what we were going to do, and then ended up in banking, and honestly, for me, when I started in banking, I didn't know that I was going to move into the risk management department. I didn't even know what risk management meant at that time, So it was just like working in different departments finally made me realize, and okay, this is what I like, so sometimes it takes time. Sometimes people know right then that this is what they want to do, this is what they want to pursue, but sometimes it's not like at that right moment. Sometimes you have to navigate and move through the different areas to understand this is what you want to do, and for me, I think one of the challenges was, more than banking, just, being like coming from India, being an international student, I was always nervous and scared about, what the visa requirements would be, how am I going to get a job, and all that kind of, but I think at the end, it all works out, it's just something that works out on its own. And that is challenging, being from a different country, understanding the culture, learning the culture of this country. And, it's been challenging, but at the same time, I would say, like, I was blessed and happy to do a lot of networking with a lot of professors, at that time. And that helped me, like basically like telling me, okay, do this, guided me every step. I still have contacts with my professors, still do, so which was a big thing for me that helped me. But it was just interesting. We both were in a completely different field, and now we moved completely in banking. Yeah.
So there's another question here, Paloma.
Yes.
So for either Paloma or Allison, you guys can both, or either
Yes.
or can answer. What have you seen as the biggest shift or impact of the pandemic in your work?
Okay, I can start, and then, because right now, both Allison and both of us are working in a similar thing, even though I moved away from lending, but I'm still attached to lending, But yeah, one of the things that has been challenging, and I'm sure Allison can speak more about it, is because with the sales and gathering loans and gathering deposits, that's the biggest thing that a bank does, like loans and deposits, to gather those things, to get those, you need to have that communication with the customer, and nothing like a face-to-face communication. And Allison can share more in details, because how she is struggling, to get those deposit accounts or loans from customers. But one of the things that has been a shift, as we all know, for us especially, we have never closed. The bank never closed. The bank was always open. So for me, I have been coming to work. I have came to work every day throughout this pandemic. For me, nothing has changed, in terms of me and my life. But because I work in the back office, for me, it didn't have a big impact. But for Allison, who works mostly in the front office, working with customers and especially in the lending side, that has been a big shift. So Allison, why don't you share your experience a little bit on that?
Yeah, so normally before we get the loans in the bank, we need to meet with the customer, and we have to most of the time face-to-face meeting, and discuss about what their needs are. So it's kind of harder now to meet with them in person. So we mostly have to schedule more like a Zoom meeting, and then if we don't have enough information, then we have to call them. But sometimes it's always better to go and talk to them face to face. So now, and besides the fact that is getting the loans and trying to get information from customer, some of the customer, they don't know who you are, so they want to be able to see who you are and trust you. And without that trust being created, it'd be hard to get the loan in the door. They wouldn't know who you are to even talk to you about anything about their financials, for the business, because those are confidential. So that has been a little bit challenging. We find ways to make things happen. We're still able to have like a Zoom call, but I think the business would still be affected because of that. So I would say the biggest impact would be the face-to-face meeting.
Yeah, and during this time, Allison, we have seen it's the restaurants, the hotels, the motels, the retail that has been affected the most, just how, the economy was fine, everything was going fine, and suddenly, this happened. And it's just how Allison said, it was just interesting how, all these businesses were not able to pay their employees. So as a bank, I have realized this year, actually, while I was doing all this, while I was in the midst of this process, I always knew banks are important, but I didn't realize how important, not because I work here, that's why I'm sharing this with you, but I have realized how important and what a big role a bank plays in a community. The last year has really made me realize that. It's a big role that they play.
Yeah, a lot of people are staying home, and they are taking unemployment. We work so many hours. We couldn't even take vacation days off because we're so busy trying to make sure that when we're working with the customer, they're in need, they don't have the funding and the money to pay the employees. So you work day and night, so make sure you support them. And that's more important than you taking your days off, because you're there to make sure the bank is going to be the one that's, after everything like COVID, the whole COVID is over, people, the customer will remember which bank that's, able to stand by their side to support them.
Yeah, I remember, Allison, I'm sure you do too, in the beginning of April and May, when we were trying to do all those PPP loans, I was up at 2-3 in the morning, doing all the loans, because the whole day the portal was so slow, so it was we were up till 2-3 in the morning, making sure it's, at the end of the day, it's all you are doing is for your customers. That's basically it's customer service, whether you work in the back office of the bank or in the front office. At the end of the day, you are helping salespeople who are in the front office, but at the same time, your customers are your internal employees, are your customers sometimes,
Right.
Sometimes people don't realize that. People think customers means outside, but no, internal employees are also certain people's customers, so we all need to realize that. Yeah. So yeah, I remember like we were working so late at nights, just to make sure we provide the best customer service.
Thanks. So there is another question. So there's another one coming from Clara. I hope I'm saying that correctly. She says that I'm an international student who graduated in finance and currently be doing my MBA. I love banking and finance, yet struggle to get a job in that area. What are some tips to network as an international student to find a job in the related field?
So you have applied. You said what's her name? Clara. I'm sorry. Like, is that what you mentioned?
Yes.
Hi, Clara. So, Clara. Okay, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Okay, so you said you have applied to jobs. You know what? I know what many colleges are doing and universities are doing, and I also know certain like workplaces, especially banks that I know, are collaborating with universities. What they are doing is that they are saying, okay, if you have a pool of candidates, please refer it to us. It's like works two ways. So I'm not sure if you got in touch with the university to see if they know any banks or any companies who are looking to hire, because a lot of the times these banks and companies sometimes reaches out to the universities, to see. And I think one of the things that you have to also do is, sometimes when we are, I don't know how many interviews you have appeared, but sometimes, when we appear in interviews, I have realized, and also by interviewing certain people, not saying that this is the case in your case, but I've realized when I interviewed a lot of people, not many people come out and share everything, like in terms of what they have done, what they have achieved. And I think sometimes we don't share that, and I think it's important. Basically you are basically marketing about yourself, and I think sometimes we hold back. Sometimes because sometimes we just hold back and not sharing that. I think it is very important when you get that opportunity to market about yourself.
Yeah, I would follow what Paloma just says. It's normally when you go to any of those events for career, that the companies that come out to interview students, make sure you are like going to the actual interview on that day. Bring your resume, be ready, be prepared, and also do a 2-minute speech about you while marketing you at that point. Because with that kind of impression, if they impress with you that minutes, they're going to call you back. And with the resume that you already prepared, that's going to be the best way to get the job and that career.
Yeah, and then even if they are not asking for a cover letter or something, just do a nice cover letter, even if they are not asking for it.
Right.
And I see a question that's saying, because being an international student, yes, I can understand that, being an international student, because of the visa requirements and everything, it does adds added layer of a little bit of a complication in getting to that level. I completely agree to that. I can tell you one thing. Luckily I didn't have to do it, but I have 3 friends, very close friends. They told me, then they're all international students. They told me each of them applied. They all work in very good companies now, very well-known big companies. But they told me they all applied to, one of them applied to 220 jobs. One applied to 190 jobs. and the other one applied to 185 some number of jobs. That then they ended up getting, the jobs that they wanted, and they're all established now and doing very well. But it was just a rigorous thing. I saw them for like 4 or 5 months. All they did was apply. That's all they did. They didn't know anything else. They were applying and applying and applying.
Yeah,
But
I think.
so that's something an international student, I know, if sorry, Allison, like I'll let you, but I can understand if a person here has to apply for a certain number of jobs. For an international student, I know that struggle is always double, if not sometimes a little bit more, so, but it's the number of the applications that you have to keep doing.
I think one helpful way, I know another international student from Vietnam who went to SU. So she said she's going to be graduating. She wanted an internship. So what she did was she's trying to network with everyone she knows. Everyone she asks for help. She would ask for, even if you don't get a job right away, you can always apply for an internship, and maybe that internship can turn into your job later on if that's helpful for you, because it's better than not getting it and had to leave.
Yeah, and another thing that I would like to mention is that, in my case and in my other three friends, in their cases also, it's the same thing. Initially we were, thinking of getting this job, that job. But being an international student, we had to also sometimes think we cannot be picky. Like similar to what Allison is talking about, initially you might not get the job exactly what you wanted based on your skill sets and everything. Initially, all you need as an international student is a foot in that door. Once you get that, then no one can stop you, but you just need that. And to get that, I would say just don't be picky, just be a little less, that's the experience I'm sharing from myself and my other friends. And we all, didn't initially start with what we wanted, but we all now ended up with what we want now. So, that's something we all have to, some people are lucky to get that right off, when they graduate, but some are not, So for us, when we see, like Allison said, just start with something, if you don't get what you wanted.
Thank you, Paloma. We do appreciate that advice. But one question that I do have is, with students applying and networking everywhere, do you have any recommendations for any places or maybe websites or good places would be to go as an international student or just as a student in general trying to get into this profession? What would be some good places to visit or network with that maybe either of you have tried and succeeded with in the past?
One of the things that I have done, is keeping those contacts with my professors and asking them if they know this person. I have had maybe 4 different interviews through professors, knowing this person who used to study at SUNY Oswego now works somewhere else. I got into 4 different interviews, I ended up working in Pathfinder Bank because I guess I love Oswego so much. The snow and Oswego, but no. The way I did it, was keeping in touch with all the professors and asking them, if they have any recommendation, if they know somebody. So they reached out to certain people they know to find out, companies are always hiring. They are always, it seems like they're not, but it's just, they are always hiring. I have seen here at the bank, it seems like, oh, this year they won't because everybody is set. But suddenly somebody is like leaves because that person has to go somewhere. That's why that person leaves. Somebody leaves because they're, they don't want to come back after they are in maternity leave or something, so they are always hiring. So my way was keeping in touch with the professors. But Allison can share her experience.
I would say that a lot of my experience was to, I guess before I was even um, getting into banking, I did a lot of networking and trying to find out from all different kind of posts and says, there's an internship you want to apply for. So I search a lot on many database. I wanted to find out so on the database, see what I can do and where I can go. So that's how I came up with. I landed this Inroads. It's called Inroads, and they send me advisor to help me throughout the whole college career. So I landed that because I was just doing my own research and I found it out, and I kept on applying for it. So you need to be like more persistent, trying to get things done. If you try and find one way it doesn't work, try and find another one. My other, this is my personal experience. There's one job that there was one time the company was restructured. So I was already kind of working with this company, but then they restructured. So I had to go out and find my own job at that time. And I treat it like my daily job. So I get up 8 o'clock in the morning. I started looking for a job and I started writing everything down, have a folder that I send all resume to this company. So it's more like an 8 to 5 job that I have to do. So be persistent, trying to find different ways. If you know of anyone from school or you run into someone, network with them. Always network. Network is the key to everything, trying to get you somewhere. You know me, you know Paloma. We can try to, I mean,
Yes.
you reach out to us, we can try to find way for you. My husband just told me that his company was hiring a lot of Oswego students. There's always someone, even if I don't know, my husband know, my friends know. So, but sometimes I think I suggest that don't just email people only, be genuine. Um, be responsive when people don't have time, but they spend some time to assist you. Make sure you always respond to them um, right away, because people are so busy all the time, they don't have a lot of time, but they want to make sure they
Yes.
help you out. So be thankful that they are there for you and be responsive.
Yeah, and then like Allison says, persistence is the key. Like, you have to be persistent. And like right now, I'm sure in this session it's me and Allison. In previous other sessions there were many other alumni, who joined and shared their experiences, and they all are working at it. So these are all the contacts that you have, and I'm happy to share my email and with everybody. Like Allison would be okay too, I know. But so just when you feel, just we will try to do our best and see whom we know, and if there is somebody hiring at Pathfinder Bank, or we know other banks also, people from other banks who are hiring, so we can definitely help. But that's how you have to do. You have to like build those connections.
Yeah, even with my own career now, I still have to build my own connection. So I know people from other banks. So from time to time, I will email them. I will ask them to have a lunch meeting with me, just so I can keep in touch with them. Because
Yes.
sometimes you never know at that time you need to be there and work with them. And you can just reach out to them one day and said, I need a job. It doesn't work that way. You need to keep that connection. You need to be in
Yes.
contact, always reach out and say hi and do things that makes people feel like you are genuine.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, same thing. That's very, very true. That just have to build that connection and keep that connection. It's not that you just build it, you get the job and be done. No, I still have connections with all my professors. Still, I have connections with most people here at the bank, because who knows when we need somebody or the other. Not because it's always like I'm doing this just to get something out of them. No, but it's just the connection. Allison shares with me that she gets calls from banks. So it's just the connection that she was able to build that helps her. So we have to be persistent when we are doing this.
Thank you so much for that advice, Paloma and Allison. The next question that we do have is, since you both transferred to banking from a different area, do you think you're still using skills that you acquired in previous positions in your work now?
I don't know how much Allison is using her biology in banking, but I no,
Talking about COVID, I think
I
I
was
can
talking about
contribute.
COVID. Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, in my case, it did help a lot. Like, when I started in loan operations with my knowledge in coding and computers before, I was able to understand the system. I was able to run reports, write codes to generate reports on my own. So it just gave me a little bit of an edge that I feel I wouldn't have gotten if I didn't have that. I never initially it was able to um, put the two together. But now, as time and time and time and the time progresses, I feel like there is so much connection that I was able to make between the two of them. So in my case, definitely helped me.
I think for mine, I even though I was doing 2 years biology before I transfer over to economics, it just broaden your knowledge. You just know more about things. So when you go out, when you're doing sales, you need to be able to have a rapport with the customer. So if they, for some reason, if they are a customer who produce some kind of biology, you know, biodegradable, whatever products it is. So you kind of have that knowledge to talk about it. So talk intelligently about that information anyways to the customer, and they feel that they can trust you and you can relate to them. So I think even though whatever career you are having, whatever subject you are studying, as long as you are, you know, able to know well about the subject, you can always use that to help your career.
Thank you so much. That's great advice. Thank you so much. The next question that I have here is, what do you both enjoy about your work, and what would you say are some challenges you faced?
About my work, the part that I enjoyed the most and enjoy right now is two things. One was when I was in loan operations and credit underwriting, I was working a lot in loan operations. I was working with a lot of my internal people at the bank. As I moved into credit analysis, I was working with lenders, and it was great. It was a great experience in terms of talking to the customers, understanding their business, and at the end, helping them. There was one day I don't forget, we did a loan analysis on a customer, it was a restaurant deal, I remember. And it was sometime in the middle of December, and me and the lender, we called the customer to tell them that, oh, your loan is approved, because we have had to go through a lot of looking at the financials of the restaurant to make sure that they can pay back the loan, loan got approved. And the customer and his wife responded to us saying, oh my gosh, and they were so happy that they were like, this is our Christmas gift. So that's something, those are the things that you experience, that you are able to, here we see all these different businesses, like the building here that Pathfinder Bank financed, in downtown. You see the community has become so much better in the last 10 years. When I was here in 2010 and now I'm 2020, the 10 years I have seen a huge improvement in the community, and a lot of it, in terms of financing and all these businesses and real estate projects, Pathfinder Bank financed a lot. It's great to see that impact that you make directly, with the community. It's one thing, working at a bigger place. When I was working in India for a large company, there were 75,000 employees in that company, and I was working with a client. And, I never was able to feel the direct impact that I was able to make. But working in a community bank has helped me realize the direct impact that you can make in the community. So that was my past that I used to do. Now I've worked more on the risk management, making sure that the bank is doing well. And now the thing that I enjoy the most is making those recommendations to the board of directors, to the senior managers, saying, okay, these are the risks that I see and how we can do better. So that's the best part right now. I feel like my analysis, whatever I am doing, is providing recommendations, and that's how the bank can improve. So I have had one experience that I enjoyed the most, and now I'm not very much customer focused right now in terms of like outside customers, but right now this is what I enjoy the most.
So for my experience, I enjoy helping people. So I think when I help the customer, you get a sense of satisfaction that they're able to get their loan. They're just so much in needs. Like, for example, I just finished getting one loan closed, and the customer has been just not having enough time to do financial statements. So by the time that he started talking to me, I have to email him like every 2 weeks to find out, can you please send me financial statement, because he has something called 1031 exchange. So with 1031 exchange, you're going to be taxed if you don't get the property to be purchased like on that same exact date. And he has a deadline. It was supposed to be the 23rd of this month. And the financial he gave us was just before Christmas. So we have for any properties that we have to get done, normally it takes like 3 months to get the loan closed. And we had to rush so quickly to get it done for him. And before that, it was most of the time it was the customer never provide us financial statements. So I have to be on top of him every day, trying to make sure that he's like taking care of his financial statement and send us. But finally, we got it done for him, and he closed the loan. He was so happy. He said, "Allison, you've been so helpful for me, and you're there for me from the beginning until now." And he said, "I'm going to go with you, with Pathfinder Bank, because you guys been great to us." So he's very appreciative of our efforts and of getting things done for him. And that's the most satisfied feeling I have. And I have another customer who I just got approval for the PPP loan for them. PPP loans stand for Payroll Protection Programs loan to help out their employees. So they are not for profit.
So
they
that,
are depending on.
Sorry to cut you, Allison, just so everybody knows, the government is doing the loan program and the banks are helping financing, just so, the students understand.
Yes,
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
To the students. Yeah. So when I called her today, I said, I got your loan approved. And she was like, I cannot thank you enough, because you've been helping a lot. You allow us to be able to run our operation now during this time. And I think that's a good feeling to have, because so many businesses are being affected, and because they don't have money to pay the employee. If I don't get the loan done right now, the employees are not being paid, and they're going to go home to their families. When they don't bring the money home, they cannot pay rents, utility, whatever. It's affecting every one of us lives. So Paloma and I, we stay up until 11 o'clock every night to make sure we getting the loans on the books for the customer.
Yeah, Allison and I talk almost every day on the phone, because right now I'm helping lending with the PPP loans, because there's a large volume, a lot of customers require this. And every day, Allison and I, we both tell each other, why is your voice sounding like that? I'm like, I'm tired. And she's like, I'm tired. We both tell each other how tired we are. But, like Allison shared, I had a customer who was crying on the phone because she was not able to make their payroll. it's just those experiences that you hear from them. It's like real struggles for a lot of people. I have managed loss mitigation department. Loss mitigation department is basically the department where if you are not able to make your loan payments, not necessarily this particular, any loan payments or credit card payments, it goes to the loss mitigation department. They contact you, they work with you. I have had like so many customers, working with them, managing that department. Like people have genuine, real struggles. And just the fact that you can help them out and you can do something that you can, with their payments. Okay, if you don't make a payment for 2 months, then can you make the payment on the third month? You just like, it's just like an experience that they are sharing with you as like a friend. And I don't know if at a bigger place that happens. Maybe it does, I don't know, but it's just a feeling that you are able to help people like when they are really struggling.
Thank you so much, both you and Allison. That advice is true. Being able to help within your job or help people make their day at some point definitely is rewarding. And that's great advice that you, both of you, definitely gave to us. And my next question is, what would be your advice to students who want to make that transition into another field or another major? I know, Paloma, with you having graduated already with your degree in computer engineering and then switching over to doing your MBA within a totally different major, what would be your advice to students that may be currently wanting to switch over and are unsure or afraid to do that?
Yeah, like, at that point when I decided to make the move, it was a big move. I thought to myself, oh my God, did I waste 4 years of my life? That's what my initial thought was, but no, it wasn't. Now I'm able to connect. Even if I wasn't able to connect, it's still okay. I'm able to do what I want to do, so it shouldn't, as hard as it sounds, but at the end, it shouldn't be that difficult. If right now you did this, but that's not what you like, if you are very passionate to do the other path or to choose the other path, go for it, just go for it. And we are, I'm not young anymore. I shouldn't be saying we are. No, you guys are young. You have the time in your hand to take those risks, like it's like risk and reward. Like that's what I work. That's what I do every day. Risk and reward, so you are young, take that risk. If this is not saying that, oh, you do this and then you change and then next day no, I don't want to do this, then you change. No, I'm not talking about that. You thought about it. And like for me, I did that. I worked in a company for 3 years, and so it was like a 7-year thing. I was like, no, I don't think I can do this for the rest of my life. What do I want to do? I asked myself. I said, I want to help people, and this was the best way, getting into banking and helping people, like for me, so don't be afraid at all. Like it's fine if you do something and it didn't work out. Don't be afraid about it. Like we both like have just two different backgrounds and ended up in banking. So don't be afraid, and we are doing fine.
Yeah, so tell you a short story about why I changed my major. So I was in lab and I couldn't stand it because I hate wearing goggles every day when I get out of the labs. It has like steam all over my eyes. So I said, I cannot do this anymore. So I called one of my a father who I know, and I said, am I a failure if I want to be a doctor? Now I don't want to do it anymore. He said, no, you're not a failure. Whatever you want to do, you try to do it. So I said, okay, why don't I try to go into something else? And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went to a professor. I heard there's a good professor in economics, and I went there and I talked to him. I said, I want to change my major. I want to go into something else, but I'm not sure what to do, but I want to sit in your class. I want to see if I'm okay with this class. And so he said, why don't you sit in? So I sat in the class, and I liked the class. So I said, can you be my advisor? So I changed my major after that. And I mean, everything just fall into place after that. But that was my experience.
Yeah.
Thank you. And yes, life is all about risk. So taking those jumps, as you can see, people, leads you somewhere great.
Yes,
So
yes.
we do have one last question. And it says, did you guys do any of the FINRA 7 or SIE exams? I hope I'm saying those right.
The
Do you think
FINRA.
it's important to do these exams?
I was thinking of taking my FRM exam, which is like financial risk management. So it's very similar to CPA and CFA. Those three, this is on the risk side, and those are on the investment and the accounting side. I thought about doing it. I started studying for it. It definitely helps. It adds a lot to your resume. I didn't do it because I moved into it and I'm learning a lot through my experiences here, but it definitely helps. But those two exams that you talked about, I didn't take those. No.
Yeah. So those exam, I would say it would, if you want to do it, it would add to
Help.
your resume, to your career. But I don't think it's a requirement. It's like I wanted to take my CFA too, because I was deciding whether I want to get my MBA or I want to go into take my CFA. I decided to go into my MBA because it's broader. It can bring everywhere. You go to a different kind of company that needs an MBA degree. And I said later on, maybe if I want to do a CFA in the future, I can do it too. But you don't have to do it.
Yeah, I would suggest first you should get into the job and see if that's what would be required for you or not. You might want to take some other like certification exam, maybe specifically not that. So I would say first it would be good to get into a job and then figure out what would be the best certification to take.
Thank you so much, Paloma and Allison. Your advice today has been super great, and all that you've shared with us today has been super informative. So I hope that our students were able to take a lot away from this. So before I end things, is there any other questions that any other panelists, attendees may have? You can go ahead and put your questions in the chat or in the Q&A box before I close.
No, I don't have any questions, but I would like to tell everybody, if you need anything that I can help you with, definitely contact me and I'll do everything that I can to help. And that's the most important I would like to share at the end. Yeah, just any way that I can help, I'm here.
Thank you. And if anyone does want Paloma or Allison's contact, email information or anything, you can definitely reach out to us after the session is done, and we'd be happy to share it with you guys. So in closing, I just want to thank you all so much, our participants, as well as Paloma and Allison, for inspiring us today. We hope to see you all tomorrow for our 2 Imagine 2021 day sessions with Jordan Holmes at 3 p.m. and Barbara Cicerone at 7 p.m. If you check out the links in the chat, which I'm going to drop right now, you guys can go ahead and attend both sessions. So thank you again to everyone, and everyone have a good night.
Thank you.
You.
Bye-bye.
Good night.